4 months. Yeah, it's been 4 months since the last since part one. Yeah. Anyway, guys, yeah, let's get on with the video. We don't want to waste any more time. Let's start off by finishing off the board. The battery construction is in the second half of the video, so stay tuned. We need to route some channels for the batteries and the electronics to sit in. I drew out a template of the batteries and traced it onto the board. From there, I can draw guidelines parallel to the outer lines of the template so that we can line up a piece of wood and it'll be easier to route. Make sure to use your router's base radians as the distance in between the lines. After our sketches, we can now clean up a piece of wood along the guideline line. Yep. Make sure to take your time and be very careful, especially if you're going to be cutting on a curved surface like our longboard, so be very, very careful. Once you have done the vertical lines, it's time to cut the horizontal lines. Now this is where it can get a little dicey, so as always, please be safe. Just do it. You want to start from one end and work your way down so that you always have a surface to lean your router against. Place the template back on the board and drill out the holes for the power wires. As you can see in the video, I also try to drill at somewhat of an angle. Connect the lines with a pencil and route the channel just like we did before. Okay, the next step has the highest chance of going wrong, so be careful. We're going to epoxy 2 layers to the bottom of the board, or however many layers you think you need. Now, in the traditional e-skate world, the best way of doing this is by using a vacuum bag. And since I didn't really want to spend $100 on a vacuum bag, I tried to figure out what the cheaper options were out there. So my big discovery was to use a vacuum bag that's meant for clothes. Some guy on YouTube did it, and I thought it was a good idea. It also worked fairly well. It didn't stick together, which was nice. So if you are going to go this cheaper way like I did, I'd highly recommend that you test the bag, test, a piece of wood and epoxy in there, see if it sticks. If not, you're good to go. Now in hindsight, I'd probably recommend that you guys wait until you've actually glued on the carbon fiber cloth before you drill the holes for the screw inserts. I made the mistake of doing that first and actually made the whole process a little more difficult. So I recommend that you guys don't do that. We can now finally get into the batteries. Hey, we finally finished the board that took 4 months. Yay. Now there are many good ways of powering your electric longboard. In the last video or in the other tutorial that I made, I use LiPo batteries. Today I'm going to be using lithium ion batteries. To be exact, I'm using the LG GH2 18650 batteries in a 10S 4P configuration. Try saying that 100 times. According to the internet, it's actually recommended that we use a spot welder to wire up the 18650 cells together. And because I didn't spend $100 on the vacuum bag, I'm not going to spend $100 on the spark welder. So I'm going to make one out of a car battery, which you guys can do at home for dirt cheap. So what you will need is 2 car battery connectors, a 12-volt starter solenoid relay, some chock block connectors, copper nails, which I actually didn't have at the time, and of course a battery. Here's a wiring diagram of what needs to happen. Basically, you're going to wire the solenoid valve in front of the positive lead and then use a momentary switch to trigger it. Now we can grab our batteries and hot glue them in pairs of 4, making sure that they're in a parallel line so they can be wired up in parallel.
This is a Harmonic beat.
And of course, this depends on what kind of battery you want to make, whether you want to make a 5-pack, 3-pack, 4-pack. It depends on what you want to do. You then want to cut 20 nickel strips and solder some blobs onto 10 of them. Now we can test the spot welder on the batteries. Make sure that you use spare batteries because you don't want to blow a hole in them. Otherwise you'll be delayed a couple weeks. Solder some of the solder wicks onto the previously soldered nickel strips. Geez, that's a mouthful. Solder some of your soldering wicks onto the soldered nickel strips. Connect the batteries in series, however you like. This is my little diagram. It actually looks really confusing. I don't know why I did it that way, but it was best for me to do it that way so it would fit in the case. Also make sure that you connect each battery pack with some soldering wicks for more strength. We can now add our balance leads to the corresponding cells. I've linked a video in the description that helps you understand how to do this. And finally, we can use blue heat shrink to protect the battery because blue is an awesome color and blue makes you go fast. Now it's red, who cares? And that's part 2. yep. See you guys in another 4 months. Stay tuned for the next episode. We're gonna learn how to make some awesome enclosures and learn how to wire the whole thing up. Yeah. Anyway, guys, thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to learn, create, and share. And as always, I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.